F125 fully launches on the 31st of May, and it features a fully revamped My Team mode, as well as new chapters of Breaking Point, 5 laser scan tracks, and some tracks which go backwards. I've been playing F125 for the last couple of days, and I'll let you know some of the changes, some parts of the game which made me pretty happy, and some parts of the game which made me a little frustrated. Let's get into it and see if it's worth playing. So for F125, there are 2 editions that you can buy. There is the standard edition, which is about $90 Australian on Steam, so it's about 60 euros or 60 American dollars. You can also get it on Xbox and PlayStation and on EA Play. And there is also the Iconic edition, which is 120 Australian dollars for me. This one gives you 3 days early access, which I imagine probably starts like around now. So you can probably access it right now when this review comes out, as well as a bunch of perks related to Lewis Hamilton, who is the cover star. There is also some stuff related to the upcoming F1 movie, including some scenarios you can play, and a free 1-month F1 TV Pro subscription if you're in the US. So good for you, Americans. The F1 movie content I actually liked, and I will get into that in a little bit, but otherwise that is a pretty steep price increase just for a couple of skins and those scenarios, so I don't know if that's worth it. Included in all versions of F125 though is a simulation of the 2025 Formula One World Championship. Every F1 car is included, along with every driver. Before you ask, as of right now when I'm playing it, Yuki Tsunoda is in the main Red Bull seat, but Jack Doohan is still in the Alpine. All the F2 drivers are included from the 2024 season as well. This actually works pretty well if you end up racing the career mode and starting in F2, which I recommend, because you end up racing with Ollie Behrman, Bortoletto, Hadjar, Colapinto, and Kimi Antonelli, which is like pretty cool. F3 isn't in the game. Again, I'd love to see F3 included in the F1 game at some point. All tracks from the 2025 F1 season are included, including, for the first time, 3 tracks that you can drive in reverse: Zandvoort, Austria, and Silverstone. Zandvoort is kind of okay. Most of the track kind of makes sense, but turn 4, the normal way, which is like the second last kind of difficult corner, is absolutely insane going backwards. You basically go full speed over a hill into the toilet bowl and turn right. It's very fun. Also, the Red Bull Ring actually slaps in reverse. The reverse track is like better than the real normal track, so highly recommend that one. Codemasters has also laser scanned some tracks for this year. We have Albert Park, Suzuka, Imola, Miami, and Bahrain. Now these laser scan tracks look good, I think, but nothing groundbreaking. I think laser scanning is held on this really high pedestal, and for good reason. Like, laser scanning looks like it matches real life, but it's not like these tracks look out of this world different or anything. They just kind of like small tweaks to make them feel a little bit more like what you see on TV. One thing that I find the F1 games do better than a lot of other sims is a sense of scale or occasion and like spectacle. I talk about it in iRacing, how you can tell that they've laser scanned the track on a Wednesday and it feels like you're doing a race and there's no one there. You can just feel it. But in F125, it feels like a party. Like, there's so much stuff going on. There's screens, there's cranes, there's all advertising everywhere, there's fan zones. It feels like a good time, and it looks really good on screen. Moving on to the handling, though, of these year's cars, and I need to acknowledge I've never actually driven an F1 car, so I'm not an expert, but if I had to describe it, it feels similar to last year's game, but with more understeer, especially going into each corner. It does feel a little bit different in the wheel, so obviously the force feedback has been tweaked, especially as the car kind of loads up, feels slightly different. But mostly the main change I felt is just a tiny bit more understeer than F124. You need to be more like progressive on the turn in, whilst last year you can kind of like flick the car in a little bit more aggressively. But yeah, the cars still absolutely feel glued at high speed. You can hit like a full-on curb at 300 kilometers an hour and the thing just drives over the top of them. But when you get to really slow corners, the car feels like an absolute shopping trolley and you're wheel spinning in like 4th and 5th gear. It makes no sense. I get aero grip is a thing, and the faster you go, the more downforce you have, but it feels a little bit too exaggerated to me. Like, F1 cars have huge, massive, sticky slicks on the back of them, and they shouldn't be wheel spinning all the way down the straight in a straight line. I refuse to believe it. The energy recovery system has also changed a bit for this year. You can now use the hot lap option during races. This is a bit easier when you need to go like full hammer time, when you're like undercutting or overcutting someone. It's a bit easier than just holding the overtake button down. I should say that I've been playing most of this year's game on a Logitech G Pro direct drive wheel, and it's worked really nicely. It's got out of the box kind of plug and play functionality with the game. But for the first time this year, since like F1 2015, I've also tried it with controller as well, and I really enjoyed it. I had a similar experience to MotoGP 25, which I reviewed recently, and it had an arcade mode for the first time. And I kind of tried to simulate that in F1 25. I turned traction control to medium, I brought the AI down to something like 80, and I sat on the couch and I just cut laps on a controller, and I had a really, really good time. Like, if you're a super serious sim racer like myself, I definitely recommend giving this a try every now and then. It just feels so fun having a battle with the AI, and if you make a tiny little mistake, it doesn't really matter if you drive off track a little bit because you'll make it back up. This game's also fun, of course, to play at like 105 difficulty with all the aids off and like a 100% race with just like sweat dripping down your face onto the wheel. But I don't know, I found the controller really fun. I can't give a real good rating compared to last year's game because I didn't play that on controller, but it was thumbs up from me. My recommendation, is to use medium traction control because full traction control is a bit too much. And also don't use ABS because ABS means you can brake at like the 40-meter board, which is crazy. I was also playing this game on my big old Samsung G9 like super ultra wide screen, and the game looks really good. It does have VR support, so if you have a VR headset, you can download it and give it a try. I think most VR headsets are supported, but there are a lot of VR headsets out there, so if it doesn't work, you can always do a Steam refund and get your money back. The AI has been worked on for this year, and I'm sure it's better than F1 24, but honestly, it's still not great. The other drivers still get in the way at really strange points. The starts are really good, I have to say though. The AI does seem really varied in how they kind of pick their lines off the grid, and they look very organic and human-like driving to the first corner. But the AI otherwise still sometimes crash into the back of me in braking zones instead of going for like very easy passing moves. And sometimes they go around the outside of me into some corners, which I respect, but it just doesn't make a lot of sense sometimes. So AI is not so great. Breaking Point returns this year for the third and maybe final installment. If you're not across it, Breaking Point is basically the story mode of the F1 series. It follows some recurring drivers, as well as like team owners and a team Connor Sport as they compete in the Formula One Championship. It is a really good concept, and I'm stoked that they have this in the game. Like, Drive to Survive is so popular, and this is basically the Drive to Survive mode in F1 25. I have to be honest though, the story is really cringe. Like, I'm not gonna lie and say that it's not. Some of the things the characters said, like a team manager being in like a meeting and being like, oh, I need to remind my driver to keep using their brake bias because they lock their tires up. Like, I physically recoil hearing that. I can't avoid the cringe. But cringe isn't necessarily bad. Racing game stories generally suck, and they're all cringe, but like, it's fine. Some of my most like favorite racing game stories, like, I don't know, Need for Speed Underground 2, or like Most Wanted, or even Codemasters' Race Driver series. I love those stories, but they're also pretty cringe. My final note is that there's too many British people in the story, and they're all very rich and annoying. One of them, their last name is literally Butler. It's like the most annoying person ever. Going from Breaking Point to another story though, maybe a more American style story, there are a bunch of scenarios for the F1 movie available. It's a little confusing to understand, but what I've interpreted is that these are only available in the Iconic Edition, which I don't like, as these scenarios are actually kind of good. I don't think I can show you much of this, as I get the feeling we're gonna get like a takedown request if we show any footage, so you'll have to play it yourself. But basically there are 6 challenges. They play a clip from the film, then you drive the clip that's happening, and then they show the clip from the film after you driving. And most of them will be available from the 30th of June, which is after the movie comes out. There's only one available so far. Spoiler alert, Brad Pitt has to drive an F1 car. In-game though, they seem to use the color grading that the movie used, which I kind of like. And also, the car in-game uses an F2 steering wheel, which is also great because the car they recorded in real life is secretly an F2 car that they made to look like an F1 car. Outside these story modes, driver career returns from last year, and it's basically identical to F1 24. I recommend starting your driver career in F2 and racing into F1. My driver Bjorn Bear was paired with Oliver Bearman at Haas, which was very funny. But otherwise, career mode is, yeah, it's the same as last year. Watching your stats go up is very satisfying, but otherwise nothing really new. Co-op career also returns, as well as challenge career as well. Probably the biggest change for this year though is in My Team, and I'll be honest, the changes are really good. The best way to explain it is they've taken a bunch of elements from the F1 Manager game and put it into the main F1 game. You need to design new parts as well as actually manufacture them as well. There is a lot going on in this game mode, way more than I can cover. The tutorial felt like it went for an hour, which shows how much stuff is happening. You also need to assign time to each department and what they're working on to maximize development. You can control how big each department is. There's lots of control and it's really good. I can see people spending many hours in this game mode. It's not full F1 Manager, but it's a really good step in the right direction. One change that people are annoyed about though is that you can no longer be a driver manager anymore. You basically create your manager and then you have to hire 2 drivers to race for your team, but you need to play as one of the drivers each race weekend. I don't super like this, to be honest. I need to play more of My Team to see if this is possible once the game is out, but I've already theorized that you could hire Michael Schumacher in the #1 seat and spend all your money on him, and then for your #2 seat, you hire like the worst F2 driver possible and spend no money, save all your money, and then you just drive as the F2 driver every session, and you get like Michael Schumacher will win, and then you just come second and save money. I don't know if that's possible, but that feels like the strat. Another feature making a return is F1 World. And I'm sorry, but I'm going to tip in on F1 World because a lot of it is very frustrating. There is a lot of really good features in F1 World, and I do respect, and I like how Codemasters is really trying to turn this into a live kind of service game with lots of longevity. This feels like the closest F1 has got to like an ultimate team ever before. There is a lot to do. The game keeps spitting out races and challenges to you while you like build up your tech level of your car. It's very similar to last year's game, but it's the first time I've really got stuck into it. I hope you like Austria though, because the first 5 races that I was given in the F1 World like series was Austria, Austria reverse, then Austria again before Monza, and then Austria reverse another time. I didn't even get to see any kangaroos. I don't know if it automatically generates races, but it feels like nobody's like play tested this or something. The main thing about F1 World that really annoys me though, is that the option for single player time trials and a single player Grand Prix is hidden within F1 World all the way once you've scrolled like off the screen. The single player Grand Prix one is the most ridiculous. Like, I'm sorry, but this is an F1 game. Surely people are just, they want to get stuck into F1. They want to open the game, select Lewis Hamilton, select Spa-Francorchamps, and then click go race. And that's all they want to do. But they have to go through like this whole F1 World menu to get there. And every time you finish a Grand Prix, it spits you right back out in the F World Series menu being like, now you want to play some more F1 World? It's like, no, I don't. I think it wants you to get hooked on playing this game mode and spend money. And the game mode does have a lot going on for it, which is good, but I don't know, it feels kind of gross at the same time. In terms of spending money though, there are a bunch of options to spend money. This is an EA game, and there is a store, and you can buy the VIP Battle Pass or Bitcoin, or there are a couple of ways to spend money in this. You also earn like stats whenever you're driving in any game and you like unlock things. I will say normally these liveries that you can buy in the store kind of suck, but I actually looked in the store and I think they look pretty cool this year. There are some good looking liveries and some nice helmets. I don't know if I'll spend any money, but like they actually do look kind of cool. With multiplayer, there are the same options as last year. We have ranked racing, league racing, general lobby racing, and Of course, you can play F1 World multiplayer as well. There is also a theater where it kind of like automatically creates highlights of your races, which is pretty cool, and a photo mode. Codemasters also has some new graphics options this year on PC with path tracing that's available. I also think the game generally looks better than last year. It seems to run better on my PC as well for some reason, which is always nice. It might just be me, but I think the game does definitely look better. Sound-wise, the engine sounds are fine. They do sound the same as last year, but there are a lot more driver recordings, which kind of play at random times, which is fun. Like you jump into a race and they'll do a radio check on the grid, which is pretty cute.
Radio check, please.
And they
Radio
don't seem
check.
to blast the F1 theme
copy that.
when you're getting in and out of menus as much as before, which seems good. But that might just be me. I'm not sure. The final thing I'll touch on before this review ends is a little bit about how this game is getting released under the cloud of like Codemasters stopping producing rally games. In case you missed it, like the F1 game is made out of the Birmingham office of Codemasters, while the original Southam Codemasters office, where they built WRC, Dirt Rally, Colin McRae, is no longer producing rally like racing games, and a bunch of talented developers had to be laid off. What this means to the F1 games, I don't know, but it is worth saying that Codemasters aren't going through like a great time right now, it seems, even with EA posting income of over like $1 billion, which is kind of infuriating to see. It's also strongly rumored that this is the last year of the F1 license. I can't confirm that, and somehow I don't like believe it myself. I still think we'll be playing F1 26 by Codemasters next year, but it is worth keeping in mind that there is a chance that this could be the last EA F1 game we play. So yeah, this game is definitely better than last year. It is an improvement over F1 24, and the My Team changes are the main one for me. There is a lot more depth there. You can spend many more hours. It's a lot of fun. The rest of the game is not super groundbreaking though. It is very similar to F1 24, which is kind of what you get with these yearly releases. There's a short dev cycle, but yeah, that's my opinion on it. I'm giving F1 25 3.75 stars out of 5. It's a good game. If you've not played an F1 game in a while, it's great. And it is a really good simulation of the F1 World Championship, but it does feel like I'm playing last year's game with some small tweaks and paying full price for it, which doesn't feel great. If you want to see more about F1 25, you can subscribe to Overtake below. You can like this video if you found it informative in any way, and you can also let us know in the comments if you'll be playing the game and what are your thoughts. Like, I've been talking to some really dedicated F1 fans in the last couple of days about what they're excited about, and I'd be interested to hear your thoughts too. Also a reminder, overtake.gg, we have a website with a bunch of mods and downloads. Nothing yet for F1 25, but probably in the next couple of days. We had a bunch of mods for the previous year's game, so I would recommend going there and having a look as well. I will see you next time. Goodbye.